check it ein. Yeah. Conversation and sample flipping. That's the movement. Hit the like, subscribe, check it. Yeah, for the next minutes of live TV, you stop with me. Got no limits, I'm that vivid, I'm just kidding. Yeah, what's up, kings and queens? We're back with that episode. And this time, in fact, before we go there, please like and subscribe. Also hit the notification bell so that when we drop more content like this, you're in the loop. Now, we're back with an episode where we're going to concentrate on Ratha. I just want to point out a few things so that you can tell me if you think these things are working for the state or these things are working for the defense, right? Coming from the judge, right? Ratha maintains that the accused, evidence was proffered by the accused that he was kicked by 15 cops. Where have you ever heard that information being proffered by the accused or even the defense? Nobody has ever said that he was kicked by 15 people, but Ratha has somewhere in his notes. Now we know whose notes are not right. We now know which notes are not making sure. Right. When Ramsipidi told him, nobody has ever said that. Nobody has ever said that 15 people accused, in fact 15 people abused and kicked accused number 2. That's what he said. It changed now. He changed very quickly, said, but it's more than one. It's more than one cop that kicked the accused. Right. Let me give you another example. Now, there's a certain exchange that happened between Sinqobile and Ratha. Sinqobile was trying to put this point across that the investigating officer, he shouldn't be actually contacting the officer who's going to conduct the pointing out, right? Mr. Mbot. He shouldn't directly contact him. He should go, as Ramsipidi was reading it, it should be done via the station commander of that investigating officer, right? Now, of that investigating officer. Now, what Keninda did was, he took the phone himself, contacted the guy to do the pointing out himself, which should not happen. It should not happen like that. He should be removed from the process. But listen to what Ratha is saying. Ratha is saying, as long as those people are in 2 different places, the investigating officer and the guy doing the pointing out, it's fine. He's not worried about that.
What sort of visible injuries would we expect to see from a plastic bag pulled over somebody's face? And what sort of injuries would we see?
He was kicked by 13 men, remember? He was kicked and assaulted, choked, tubed, etc., etc., etc.
My Lord, with respect, I think during Mr. Mgomezulu's leading of accused number 1, the court vividly asked, who assaulted you? And the names that accused number 1 mentioned, and offhand, they don't come to me, but I remember he mentioned Mohola, Butelezi, and he never intimated that all 13 participated in the assault. He said they were present. We all drove to Litabo. We all drove to Fosloras, okay, but he doesn't intimate.
But at least it's more than one.
At least it's more than one.
Okay, fine. Let's go on.
Now, I'm going to just pull out an old case just after this Ratha exchange and the exchange between Ramsipidi. I'm going to pull out an old case from America where the judge is serving the cop and the prosecutor is serving them both. He's letting them have it. What happened in this case was a cop went out searching, and then doing his patrol and all that. Then he comes across a lady who seemed to be under the influence of alcohol while driving, right? They call it DUI, driving under the influence. Now, what happened there? The cop took the lady, cited the lady without even testing the content of her blood. And what he did was he lied on that citation and tested her, and she tested over the limit, right? That means he's lying. He's committing perjury on a legal citation, right? And then eventually the prosecutor, what she did was she ended up suspending the license of that person. Now what the judge did was he let them have it, both of them. First of all, he was just trying to ascertain from the prosecutor what evidence was there to force them to suspend this person's license. And eventually they ended up arresting her for nothing. The prosecutor tried to protect the cop and say the cop accepted that he made a mistake, what the judge was not having. He said, you know what, since you want it, I'm going to full force now. We're going to file an inquiry. We're going to call the DMV people, all the people who suspend licenses. This is a full inquiry now. Now, at the end, the prosecutor got what she was not playing for. Now, in this case, we have Baloi, who keeps, I don't know how many times I could say he has lied to the court. And then we have, I don't know, I think it's about two cops, Mohani and Zubo. They incriminated themselves. Understand? Firstly, with their own evidence in chief. And then later, when he was being asked about his transgressions, that's Zubo. The judge now says, no, you have to warn him so that he can incriminate himself. But he let that guy incriminate himself in front of him during his evidence in chief. Now, what do you think this judge, our judge, Ratha, should have done in this case? When you see what happens with this case that I'm going to fly for you, I think what should have happened here, you should have asked Baloi, now what are you doing with this cop who is incriminating himself in front of you because you are a state prosecutor? Are you taking him up on those charges of defeating the ends of justice by not reporting crimes and then by associating himself with Ngabis? Nothing of the sort of that. Nothing. Jaja ignored all that. Jaja ignored all of that. Now let's look at a fine example of a judge. Please, before I leave, please like and subscribe. Also hit the notification bell so that when we drop more content like this, you are in the loop. Peace.
Cop, how is this license suspension valid, since the first DUI charge that started this case was not justified?
You have this other case where driving while license suspended, and
yes, I actually was, if I could be heard on that matter, I was going to ask.
Before you go there, I want to be enlightened. I didn't think your license got suspended for 6 months just for getting arrested for a DUI.
It was a mistake, admittedly, by Michael Wagner, who testified to that today.
He caused her to have her driver's license suspended for at least a few months, and now get arrested.
Yes, he did, Your Honor.
For nothing.
Judge Shaw is furious at Officer Wagner as he thinks that the officer committed perjury and inquires the public prosecutor if the government will take Officer Wagner up for perjury. The public prosecutor continues to defend the lies of Officer Wagner.
Are you going to no process that case? Or am I going to get mad at you today?
Perhaps you can get mad at me, Your Honor, but at this point, the only thing that we're willing to do,
Did you hear the
Your Honor,
uncontroverted testimony of this officer?
Your Honor, regardless of...
Tell me your position.
Yes, Your Honor. The DMV is in charge of suspending licenses.
Yeah,
They
when
received the ticket from
officers
the
lie to
officer.
them,
Correct, Your Honor, and that's why patrons...
then I want you taking them
Your
up on
Honor,
perjury.
Your Honor.
Will you take them up for perjury?
He admitted it was a mistake, Your Honor.
No, but he lied. He lied on a sworn
Absolutely not,
citation.
Your Honor.
Judge has had enough of it, and he dismisses Ms. Gonzalez's sentence sua sponte, which means he has enough reasons to believe that the jury was misled by the evidence turned in by Officer Wagner, and therefore he is overturning the jury's guilty verdict.
And that is not true.
I'm dismissing.
The state's position.
I'm dismissing.
You cannot summarily dismiss, Your Honor, without a motion for us to be able to respond to.
No, I'm dismissing the charge. You can appeal.
We will, Your Honor. Please provide us a written order.
No, I'm dismissing the charge.
So there will be no court minutes or
Sua
whatsoever.
sponte, based upon this record. And that case has the same record as this case. So take it up on appeal with him lying about it and getting
It's not
her
lying,
license
Your Honor,
suspended.
and I won't let that be said today. He admitted to the mistake today. Patrons and people who have identifications and
was
driver's
fishy.
licenses in the state.
Judge berates the public prosecutor for shamefully defending Officer Wagner and declares that the arrest for a DUI, as well as the subsequent arrest for driving on a suspended license, were illegal.
You know what?
The state intends to amend the charge and proceed on a no valid.
I'm rescinding the sentence. I'm granting the JOA.
So you're granting it because you don't agree with the state's decision on
I'm
the other
granting
charge?
JOA in fairness.
In fairness, because you
got it.
don't like the state's decision today, Your Honor, on the case?
No, you're not. No,
Let
I've
me be
reconsidered. I've reconsidered all of the testimony and the evidence. And you know, now
Then
that
the
I
state would
consider,
like to be heard on
now
that
that I
matter.
consider what Officer Wagner testified to and how many times he basically tripped over himself unnecessarily just to arrest this lady with no real probable cause. We should have had a suppression hearing. I'm granting the motion for JOA.
Then the state would like to be heard on that matter, Your Honor, as they're entitled to be heard.
Sure.
Judge not only dismisses the charge, but he also vows to bring Officer Wagner and others responsible for this gross misconduct back in court where they will be held accountable.
Today we've proven, as Your Honor initially indicated, until such time as the state was not able to tell you why we're proceeding on the charge that we were proceeding on, the state intended to amend that to either a civil infraction and or a no valid, but the state needed time and intended to do that. However, in this particular case, there was ample testimony as to the fact that the defendant's own statement that she was in possession of alcohol and she drank it. There was testimony uncontroverted from the defendant that was in fact alcohol and she normally doesn't. This is again evidence, direct evidence, and not circumstantial evidence. Furthermore, there was bad decision making, there was balance, there was sway issues, and everything else.
JOA for the defendant. You're done. But you still have this other criminal charge. I'm not dismissing that. The DeWillis, we're going to go full bore. We'll get DMV people in here. We'll get Officer Wagner back here, and we'll find out why your license was suspended if somebody broke the law to cause your license to be suspended. And that's the route you wanted to go.
No, Your Honor, that's not the route.
Is that a third?
Motion, the JOA is granted.
The judge criticizes the criminal mistake of the cop, Michael Wagner, and orders the motion to be dismissed. Gonzalez was released soon afterward.